Anthony Joshua says a good modern heavyweight can compete in any era. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Going to have a conversation with you today. He asked me, what do I think about that? And could Anthony Joshua compete in any era? And could any good modern heavyweight compete in any era? I said that's both true and false. No, a lot of these guys currently today, and not just in the heavyweight division, a lot of these guys could not compete in any era. And that's just being straight up. The mentality, the toughness, how many times they fought a year, and the mentality of fighting was just different than what it is right now. So no, I don't believe a good modern boxer can compete in any era. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you're only as good as your competition. Okay? If you're a good modern boxer of today, but the competition is nowhere near the 90s, the 80s, or the 70s, well, iron sharpens iron. Okay? So, no. A good modern heavyweight today can't compete in any era because the kind of man that was coming off the assembly line no longer comes off that assembly line no more. They're less and they're few and they're in between. And given that fact, we lose most of our athletes to football, stuff like that, stuff that, more top sports that's above boxing. Now, I think how it should be looked at is this. I think you should say is, if somebody like Anthony Joshua was born during a certain era, or you could take him and put him during a certain era, could he survive with the people of that era? Meaning, if you take him to grow, spar, and be amongst those guys, yes, a good modern heavyweight could compete. But just because they are modern today doesn't mean they can travel back in time and compete in any era. I think the question is, if you put them back there, do you see them being able to compete with the people of that time? A lot of these heavyweights wouldn't get past Larry Holmes. A lot of these heavyweights would not get past Riddick Bowe. That's a fact. A lot of these heavyweights would not get past Riddick Bowe. Andrew Gallardo would beat a lot of these guys, if not all of them. Andrew Gallardo is also an underrated heavyweight because he just has a weird career. But anytime he got fouled or lost a fight, 9 times out of 10, he was ahead on the fight. He just had, I don't know what kind of issues he had. But a lot of these guys, no, they can't. And there's nothing wrong with saying that some modern boxers can't compete with the guys of today, because it's not necessarily your fault if you're not given the competition that they was that built them. So that's why I think you can't do that. And that's why I say there is some truth to it. And there's also no truth to it. I think if you put Anthony Joshua, if Anthony Joshua was born back in that era, yes, I think he could swim with the Sharks. I do. But as of a modern heavyweight today, bringing him back to certain era, and it depends on what era are you talking about. Do you think he can compete in any era or a certain era? Because I'll tell you right now, even though I don't like the guy, Lennox Lewis would beat all these damn heavyweights. Truth be told. You know what I'm saying? Truth be told, there's not too many people that I think can compete in any era that I'm 100% sure of. As a matter of fact, I take that back. I know for a fact Terrence Crawford could compete in any era. He's probably the only one that I'm sure of, like 100%. The rest, to me, you have to bring them back in that time and make sure that they're trained and they come up with these guys. And yes, they could do it, you know? But I don't believe any modern fighter can fight in any era. It's just a little bit unrealistic. Just a little bit. Now, I believe if you can go back and train with those guys and spar with those guys and all that shit, yes, I believe that you can compete. But to jump straight out of your era and jump straight in their era and think that you can hang with them, these guys was fighting 15 rounders. Fighting I don't know how many times a year. These guys are not acclimated to that. Just like the kids today, they're soft. Just like when I was born, my parents say we were soft. You know what I'm saying? That we wasn't tough enough. And isn't that? And now I'm saying it to the generation up under me. These kids is really soft. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is really sensitive. You know, you got to watch your words, crying about everything. The world today with people, they're more sensitive. That's true. But I do believe if you bring Anthony Joshua back there and you let him train and be amongst those guys, yes, I think he could fight in any era, but I think he needs to kick and come up in that era. I don't think he can jump from one era to any damn era. No, I would be unrealistic if I said that, you know, because in some eras of boxing, shit, a lot of motherfuckers couldn't compete, whether they was good or not. The competition was just thick. This is why you can't necessarily say that. The competition was too thick before your era. It got weaker as the eras went on. Less elite fighters was joining and the pools were becoming smaller, smaller, and smaller. So you got a handful of elite guys with a whole bunch of guys that are average. I mean, hence, this is why you got Deontay Wilder. Am I wrong? This is exactly why you got him. But a lot of these guys couldn't compete today. But I believe if you drag Anthony Joshua back there and you get him to have the experience and swim with these guys, yeah, I think he can do it. But a straight jump, no. And it's not too many that can make a straight jump. However, I do think Terrence Crawford can make a straight jump. But he's about the only one. Because it's that meanness that I look for. You know what I'm saying? Like, those dudes, they fought mean back in the day. Mean and rough, and they was just ugly with it. You know? But I bring it up to ask you, what fighter do you actually believe, modern fighter today, and I'm being 100% serious. I don't need nobody fanboying. I don't need nobody having too much passion. I want you to tell me, what fighters, whether in heavyweight or any weight, what fighters do you honestly think can jump in the time machine and go fight in any era? If any. You know? I want to know. I want to read some of the names who you guys think of this new era could survive in any era. Or if it's a certain era, tell me the era, because I want to know. Because I beg to differ that these new guys, they can't do it. As nice as it seems, and I know where that comes from. With Anthony Joshua, that comes from Mike Tyson and all the attention Mike Tyson got, in the fact that people say Mike Tyson can become heavyweight champion right now. I get why Anthony Joshua was a little salty and insulted by that. I would be too. You saying this old man could be champ right now and I'm ruling over this damn division. You know, so I believe a lot of that's where it comes from, and the fact that somebody as revered as Mike Tyson doesn't really give somebody like Anthony Joshua his credit. He has at times, but at times he has taken away. And at one point, Anthony Joshua said he believed a Mike Tyson would have beat a Muhammad Ali. And Mike Tyson disagreed. But Anthony Joshua made the point. He said, if you look at Mike Tyson, he has that kind of bob, go up and under, like Joe Frazier, somebody who gave Ali a lot of problems. I was like, that's actually a good point. Even though I don't think Tyson would beat Ali, that's actually a good ass point because they are similar in that way. So while you at it, go ahead and tell me, do you think a prime Mike Tyson would have beat a prime Ali? Now me, I'm going to say no. You know, I'm going to say no. Because really by the time Frazier really got to get it on, you know what I'm saying, like they was, you have to understand that Ali spent his best years out of boxing. Ali's best years, he wasn't in a boxing ring. When Ali came back, he was still good, but he wasn't the fighter he was after he left. You know what I'm saying? He lost a couple 3 or 4 steps. And you seen he was less mobile. Now, the Ali before the suspension and the layoff and all that, that's the Ali you need to be judged on. Because truthfully, when you get to George Foreman and all them, I mean George Foreman, when you get to Joe Frazier and all them, that was Ali slowed down. That wasn't the prime Ali before all that stuff happened with him and the government. But then again, like I said, that's just my opinion. I'm interested to hear yours, though. Bruce Fan, I'm out. Don't lose the steam. Come on, 7 more.